Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Ultraman Arc DX Arc Cube Ultraman Arc Satur Armor Cube. So the way this Saturn is basically supposed to be pronounced is supposed to be like Satru. It's like, it's Saturn and like True combined together. We're just gonna switch between Saturn. But obviously the proper pronunciation will be in the title. But anyways, yeah, this was essentially, even though with the last cube we covered, the 015th anniversary cube, yeah, this technically turned out to be the last retail cube released, as this one was released by the end of December, and is actually the cube for the stage show, or the Ultra Heroes Festival exclusive form of Arc, which is the Saturn armor and such. So we actually do get a suit picture of it, and again, it's my favorite one. And as you can see, the cube right here, it's definitely interesting, but we'll get to it when we open it. And then there we go with just this standard stuff you can do with it and such. So alright, so here we have the Arc Cube out of its packaging, to which interestingly I think we already point out 4 months ago, this is another Arc Cube that is golden and such, which is pretty neat to see. We look at the top here. Despite it being golden, it's just the standard X that we have for the Arc Cubes. Same with the button. But taking a look at the front, here we have Arc with the Saturn armor. This one, I think, is kind of back to how the original Arc Cubes were. As you can tell, you can see the silhouette, which is pretty neat. Now, interestingly enough, here's the numbering for the Saturn Cube. This one's the second 04. As if you didn't know, previously Galaxy was referred to 04. So that's interesting. Because I think the way that they explained this in the stage show was that this was a form that Yuma forgot he drew. And interestingly, this will be explained later, this one is back to being B001. So we have the numbering of the Galaxy armor and also of the Arc Cube. So, taking a look at the sounds. So basically, this one's kind of, because this one is 004, not 004, this one is 04. It has its own activation sound that is kind of similar in vein to the Galaxy armor being able to have its own activation sound. Obviously, going into sound mode, we have our standard sounds. So obviously we got Arc there. And the attack. The Saturn freezing. Obviously the color toner. So let's use this with all of our Arc stuff. Obviously using it with the Arc Riser. So this one has its own startup sound. so there's the transformation of Arc Saturn Armor. Unfortunately, unlike the others, we do not have a composition transformation, but instead just, I think, the materialization of the armor itself. I can't blame them though, because it's a stage show. And it's not, I'm not saying stage shows can't have that, but like obviously this form came to conceptualization a lot later than the other 4 prior forms and such. I don't think we do them again, but again, despite this being, in the case of the Arc Riser, obviously it doesn't really limit the cube too much of it reusing Arc's track, but obviously when we move on to the Arc Eye Sword, we will see where the problems lie. As I don't know why I did that. Like obviously it's fine from this point, but obviously with the way how the Arc Eye Sword works, it's only up to the standby and the grunt that is like within the cube. Everything else is like programmed into here. So unfortunately, obviously Saturn Armor does not have its sounds programmed into this thing. So instead it's just using the basic Arc Eye Sword sounds, which is unfortunate that there's no like, you know, ice sounds. But again, we have to do that through sound editing. And then, last but not least, we have the Arc Galaxer. We will use these two. Obviously, do not do this with the tabs. Because obviously you're affecting the tabs, which is not really too good of keeping them integral. And obviously, as I've always done, here's the sound of this without the Galaxer. There. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I can turn these off now, or done with these. But yeah. Overall, that would not have to do. We still need to talk about this. My thoughts on this cube. It's pretty solid overall, as it struggles to even have light. It's a really solid cube and such. I was really happy that I was really happy they finally decided to commercialize the cube for this. Well, it took 2 months for them to actually give us the cube and the associating Ultra Action figure. The fact they gave us the figure too is pretty neat, but because obviously we knew about this form since August, and they gave us a vinyl only, so it was kind of like, come on guys, give us a cube, and I'm happy that that was the case and such. But like, I think it's kind of clear as to why we didn't get the cube right away. Like, I do appreciate all of the new sounds we get for it. Yes, it's not consistent with your other Arc cubes because there's no composition accompanying it and such, but we at least get the standard like Arc phrase of what, or basically what he was saying before, transforming into the armor. Obviously reset. Yeah, it's definitely a weird. I I can't blame them for this decision because they obviously have already numbered these cubes. So it's definitely a weird decision to make this one another 04, but like I can't blame them. Like maybe if they did the trigger route and just not number the galaxy armor, this probably would have slid through. But honestly, yeah, we're just going to have to deal with the fact we have 204s. But, like, maybe, like, if they pushed Blazar to, like, number 6 and such, I think it probably would have been, like, fine. Like, alright, because honestly, I was even expecting an EX, but the fact they labeled it 04 is really interesting and such. Again, I really like this armor overall. I really like the look of the gold base and the blue. It's really cool we have another cube that is gold and such. Like, I just really like this one overall, but it's definitely not one that's necessary to the arc collection unless you're super completionist about it. Because again, this one doesn't have any sounds pre-programmed in any of the stuff, and technically the Arc Galaxier is like the only toy that obviously just because that's how it works off of this IR sensor, that doesn't, like, obviously that is like completely unique, but like obviously the Arcarizer doesn't really limit itself too much just because that thing's not really hampered by whatever is reading, because it doesn't even change. The LEDs don't even change at all. It just kind of reads off of what cube it is to just depend whether or not it needs to like time itself to it. But like, it's just the Arc eyesore that unfortunately this thing really suffers in and such. But like, other than that, like, it's really up to you whether or not, if you're a stickler to the Saturn Armor. I was gonna say New Generation Stars because this thing did make an appearance in that in the episode about armors, which is why I'm just covering this alongside the other New Generation Star stuff. But it's still an Ultraman Arc item, obviously. Again, as I was mentioned before, because of this being an Ultraman store exclusive, it's gonna be kind of difficult to like get your hands on this. I got this for the same price as the 015th cube, which I think was like $17 to $20. Obviously, like, I think people like the Saturn armor, so this one's going to be a bit more difficult to like actually get your hands on, like, securely. So best of luck to you for that. But that'll have to do this review. This is Ryder, and I love you people.